This is the Clam River, or West New Boston Cemetery, here in Sanesfield, Massachusetts, which is in the Farmington River Valley, if you're looking for it on a map, west of Westfield by about 15 miles. And this is the largest collection of Zincies, or white bronze funerary markers, that I know of in western Massachusetts. It looks like it was a regular fad out here. So what we're going to do is walk around and check it out. And the phlox is blooming. I wish it was a little sunnier out. Maybe the sun will break out. Because this is a really pretty cemetery, even though they've taken down some of the trees that really graced it a few years ago. So let's take a walk around and check out some of these Zincies. Now, we'll use Lyman Norton's grave marker right here to start our little discussion. And Lyman Norton, 1889, passed away. He was 67 years, 9 months. You can see they can go into some great detail here, because this is made of white bronze, or zinc, cast with the same processes that were used to make cannons in the American Civil War. And here's his wife, Roxy. And we have, looks like a lily of the valley. Look at that. And you see, these are inlays. So these particular memorials in a shock of wheat that's been cut, symbolizing all things must pass. So we're looking at a really cool prefab memorial marker. One that a family could customize. They came in all shapes and sizes. We're going to see several different shapes and sizes in this cemetery. This probably got about 50 of them. So let's keep up our tour and walk around. You can see there are also some beautiful lichen-covered Connecticut Valley brownstone markers here, like this one. Orderly Sergeant Joseph Walcott of the 19th Mass Volunteer Infantry Regiment, killed on June 23rd, 1863 at Port Hudson. And I believe that was in Louisiana or Mississippi. I can't remember. It was a Western theater. But look at these lichen-covered stones sitting here amid the phlox. This isn't exactly what we want to be looking at, but you can't really just walk away from this. Look at that lichen creating its own memorial on the stone. Very cool. So, walking west on Route 57, we're going to check out a couple more markers. You can see Elizabeth Heath's marker here is a much more simple marker. She's the wife of Alonzo Downs and widow of Daniel Heath. So she kept her first husband's name with a wreath on it. And again, you didn't see earlier, made of metal, white bronze, zinc, but white bronze is more marketable in the beginning of the era of mass marketing. And if we turn and look here, we can see Carrel Deming's beautiful obelisk draped in, what would this be? Some sort of funerary garland. Some really neat inlays as we walk around, shock of wheat, an anchor suggesting something. She's gone beyond the river, so they put an anchor down. And holding hands with her Lord, gone but not forgotten. So we've just seen, in a little walk, 3 different white bronze memorials. And we'll walk over here to the Cone Memorial with the beautiful phlox coming up all around. And this is Alcott W. Cone and Jane Stratton. And this looks very modern. It's actually very simple. Notice the marbleized base, and it looks like maybe a daughter. You can see the little marker. And quite often young children passed of things like diphtheria or measles, and they just put in little monuments with their initials on them. And the phlox grows. Over here, across this beautiful field of phlox, we have Lyman Gaylord and Rhoda Gaylord. And you'll notice Lyman passed 1897 in William McKinley's presidency, and Rhoda Gaylord died when Teddy Roosevelt was still in office. And again, we're looking at a different memorial. And on the back side, we have an hourglass and an ivied cross. Really, really cool. Over here, we're looking at the back of a couple of memorials, and we can see there Abraham Ives and Lucy Root, the wife of Abraham. And they both passed in 1900 March. I wonder if we're looking at a flu epidemic or some such thing, a house fire. But the Ives family here, a bit separated, not in a combined monument like the Gaylord family over there. And here's a beautiful, well-developed marker to a very big family here in the hills of western Massachusetts, the Twining family. Edson Twining, there's a cemetery maybe 4 miles up the hill. That's Twining Cemetery. But in this case, Edson Twining and his wife Anna are buried here, having passed, wow, Edson passed in 1927. So Calvin Coolidge of Northampton, Massachusetts was president at the time. And I don't know what kind of plant that is. It almost looks like a thistle. Wait, did I say thistle? A nettle. Now, I don't know if the nettle has any particular funerary symbology, but if you know what the nettle means, maybe give me a comment and tell me what it means. It's kind of interesting. Really neat, stylized bird. I don't know what kind of bird. Could be a robin. And Bessie Alma, the daughter of Edson, she was only 20 when she passed. And it looks like Edson was a Freemason. And we can see the crown inlaid below and the Lamb of God on this side, marking Lois Etta, who died at only 3 years old. And that is so commonly seen in these 19th century cemeteries, 18th and 19th century cemeteries that are scattered all over our area. People just drive right by them. The Stumps. Here's a granite put up in 1902, I believe. But right here, another one. This is the same style as we saw earlier, with a Freemasonry symbol and an ivied cross. And as we come around, it's Joe Clark and Louisa Couch. I highlighted Joe Clark on an earlier video. He was 82 when he passed in 1905. The things he saw in the American 19th century. We got lilac growing here, and you can see way over in the distance on the edge, there's some uncared for stones. Most of the stones in this cemetery are just being left as they are. You don't see a lot of attempts at restoration. And over here we have a couple more of the Zincies. And I'll tell you, I wish you could smell this phlox. These are the same pattern as we've already seen. Orrin Bradley Brown and Lucy Bradley Brown. She passed in 1918. just after World War I came to an end, and he passed in 1905. And I'm really looking at the Zincies in this cemetery, or the white bronze memorials to be more formal. But I've always liked some of the lichen writing that you get, like the stone in front of us, that it's like nature is writing its own epitaph on this stone. It looks like some kind of writing from the Orient, like it's saying something. Be interesting to try to translate that. I know I'm being crazy. But here's a big one over here, and I wanted to check this out. This is the Moses family. And you can see this is one of the bigger ones in the graveyard. And we can see a lot of footstones, and it looks like somebody's been out here trying to restore them. So this was a family plot. The children around the outside. Rowland Moses, 1834 to 1906. Clara Moses and Esther Moses, Abram Moses, and Susan Rowland. And on this side, a ivied cross. So you can see that they had like a stock of symbols they picked from. And if we look, we can see a little bit of cracking going on here. These things, as far as I've seen, hold up pretty well. Although I've seen on a couple of websites that deal with them that they do suffer, especially if they touch the ground. You can see this one is up off the ground on stone. But of course, if they aren't, winter will freeze, and when winter freezes, it'll burst these hollow stones, because they are hollow. I shouldn't say hollow stones, hollow memorials. I don't know what else to say. You kind of get lost in this stuff because it's so different. I remember one time I showed somebody that this was made of metal, and I banged on it, and it was July, and out came a swarm of yellow jackets, and I ran. You can see some of these stones have fallen. The white bronze stones are doing much better than the majority of the actual stones here. My poor mother. So here we have a Bridgeport monumental bronze obelisk dedicated to the Dowd family. Henryetta Dow died at 43 years old, the wife of Orison Dowd, and it's been customized with and there's Henry Dowd, who died in the Battle of the Wilderness, 1864 on May 12th. He was in the 32nd Massachusetts. So Henry Dowd would have known Edwin Leonard, having been in the same regiment as he. Now, this battle was one of the most horrific of all Civil War battles. Part of Grant's spring campaign, the forest's undergrowth caught on fire, and wounded soldiers screamed as the fires consumed them. And let's hope that he passed in a much cleaner way. But to see the wilderness, I had no idea. That's the first time I've ever read that stone. Henryetta died some years later, sure grieving her husband that passed in such a way. She was young when she married him. Look. She was 43 years old, born in 1842. She married him at 18, I would imagine. He was killed in 64. They only had 4 years of time together before the terrible swift sword severed the two. But that's something else. And there, again, that Bridgeport monumental bronze allows for the customization. The furled flag of a veteran and the mantle of a hero. The Lamb of God, really something else here. The Dowd family, I'm going to look up his unit history. We move across over here, we're moving to the south side of the cemetery, and we can see a couple more monumental bronze stones over here. A couple more of those Zincies. Look at that blocks. And here's the Snow family, another old family from up here in the hills of western Massachusetts. Orison Snow, who passed in he was born in the year without a summer, 1817, and he passed, well, it would have been the winter of the year without a summer. And he passed in 1892. Beautifully customized rose, shock of wheat. And here's Mary Jane, his wife, who died in 1901. And Lily of the Valley's on this side. And this little stone out front, Katie Hart, wife of Stanley Twing, born March 2nd, 1862. And there's a flag here. So we're assuming that there's a veteran buried here. Probably Orison Snow, who would have been at that age to have been able to fight in either the Mexican or the Civil War. Over here, we can see often, almost in the woods, a different style. Burton Clark, who passed in 1900 at 38, a different style of bronze marker that I haven't seen. And I wonder if he was in the Navy with that anchor. And then we can walk over here. Now you can see one problem that old cemeteries always have is hanging on to trees a little bit too long. And you can see the damage done by a rampant tree. It's like an old maple basically disintegrated in a winter storm here. Ooh, here's Major Henry Boardman. And he's a major in the American Civil War. Again, I need to do a little bit of homework on this guy. I had no idea. It's a token of esteem and to as a token of esteem and to perpetuate the memory of one whom we highly honored and respected. This stone was erected by the 1st Company Governor's Horse Guard of Connecticut. So he's a Connecticut soldier who, and he's a major, so I should be able to find out, well, he's formerly of Hartford, Connecticut. He came and lived here. I wonder if he was down on his luck, because he died in 1877. And we come across over here, and we have a very large obelisk. It's the Phelps family. Katie Phelps and Edgar Phelps, Charles Phelps, Charlie, Newton Phelps, and it's another one of those white bronze stones. This one again is doing well because it's elevated off the ground by those stones. These white bronze stones hold up pretty well as long as they're up. Here's an Emmons over here, again in white bronze. And finally, Edwin Pixley and his wife Ida Pixley. She died when she was 24. He was 82 when he died in 1908. He must have been quite a bit older than her when they married. And on the back, you can see the customized insets. And there's actually a little bit of an epitaph. And when all things are accomplished concerning us, and we have done thy will here, give us a home among the blessed. asleep in Jesus, blessed sleep, from which none ever wake to weep. And really interestingly, here we have, first time I've ever seen this, the Maker's Mark, Monumental Bronze Company, Bridgeport, Connecticut. And these are sitting a little too close to the ground. You can see a couple cracks in the one to the right. But if there's no family to take care of these, who takes care of these? And here we have a very sad little stone. Miss Mary Ann, wife of Edward Phelps, died at 25 years old. And Chandler, the son of died February 13th, 1864. So these are, and here's a last one that I didn't even notice. Another monumental bronze that looks almost like stone. Oh! It's stone that looks like monumental bronze. Imagine that. This is a great old cemetery that's got some beautiful memorial markers, and it's got some really neat funerary carvings like we just saw. And don't shake a stick at those old cemeteries nearby. Go on in and investigate and take the time to remember those that were here before us, and maybe take a little phlox home. Plant it in your yard, your garden, as a memorial.